I truly appreciate your time. You could stay with me. I am Pius Kojobaka. We can now take a look at our stories and activities associated with the Christmas festivities might be drawing to a close as we end the year. But what has been the situation when it comes to patronage for hotels and events in the country? Let's get onto Zoom and speak to the president of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr., who joins us via Zoom for a conversation on the back of this. Thanks so much, sir, for joining us. And a Merry Christmas to you, and of course, a Happy New Year in advance. And good to see you. Now, is it too early to say that it has been a good Christmas season for hotels in the country, you would say?
Many happy returns, my brother, and good evening to your cherished viewers and listeners. I must say that the feedback we are getting from our members across the country generally speaks to quite a good season for the hotels in terms of patronage of the accommodation units, and more so with the food and beverage section, which deals with the events and then the conferences and parties and all that. So, yes, it's been quite a good season for the hotels. Of course, we always have some hotels who, for whatever reason, may not have experienced the high patronage. But by and large, the feedback we are getting is that so far, so good.
That's good to know. Now, compared to the COVID-19 period, can we say that patronage has indeed been good, like you are rightly articulating? Can we compare that?
Oh, yes. We are far exceeding the COVID era. In fact, even in some cases, exceeding the pre-COVID era. You know, I mentioned some time ago that we can confidently say that we have recovered from the pandemic. We've recovered from the COVID challenges, and we are back on our feet, firmly back on our feet. So it's been good, and we can say that we can no longer make reference to the COVID era. We are moving on, and certainly the hotels are in high spirits.
Good to know the hotels are in high spirit, but there has also been a question about the capacity of our hotels to handle the demand during these times. And do you say, or will you tell us it has been addressed?
To some extent, yes, because new hotels have sprung up. And also, let's not forget the role of the Airbnbs in the space, which is why we are very happy that the Ghana Tourism Authority has set in place a process to regulate that part of the space, because quite a number of visitors, especially international visitors, during this period patronize the Airbnb, as the 2023 report stated. I don't think it will be any different this year. So they have absorbed quite a number. But with regards to the hotels, yes, quite a number of hotels have provided services to those who really needed it. And I cannot say that some people wanted accommodation, they didn't get it. The hotels have been up to the task.
Good to know the hotels are making, good returns, etc. But if we are to, express that in the form of monetary terms, what would you say?
That's difficult to tell at the moment, because we usually deal with the occupancy rate, and we have some hotels recording as high as 70 to 80%. But of course, unfortunately, I got one of the feedback that talks about 40%. And I remarked that seems to be out of the number for this period, because that seems to be quite low. But generally, some have recorded 70, 60, and some as far as 80%. Great. And that's even for the accommodation use. But the F&B too has been very good, as I mentioned earlier on.
Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr., we saw various hotels, etc., hosting events. Was it deliberate?
Oh, of course. This is the pure. And I stated in one of my interviews with you that this is a special season for three reasons. First of all, it's Christmas. Secondly, we are looking to the new year. And thirdly, we've had a very successful election. Okay, so the euphoria is very high. People want to celebrate, people want to come out, people want to, rejoice in various ways. And one of the places where you find such activities going on is the hotels. Okay, a lot of parties have gone on, a lot of engagements, people wanting to marry before the next year and all that. And a lot of them choose the hotels to do that. Okay, so it's about demand and supply. People are demanding the events, space, and all that, and we are supplying it to them. So it's deliberate. We've been very prepared for this season, and it's going as planned.
On the back of that, why is it so quite expensive for hotels when, of course, you want to patronage their service or patronize their service?
Well, beyond the factor of demand and supply, I must say that the cost of operation is very high. Very, very high. And if you want to stay in business, then you need to price right. And pricing right means taking into consideration every aspect of your operations. And once all those aspects are taken in, including taxes, then you see the pricing that we get. But of course, you also know that monkeys dance by sizes. Okay, we have the luxurious hotels and we have the normal hotels. I mean, we price from budget 1 star up to 5 star. Okay, and I'm sure there will certainly be a hotel which meets the pockets of our teaming customers. Okay, so they should not focus on only the Kempiskis and Moving Peaks and Marriotts and Accra cities. They should also look at some of the lower hotels, which also provide very good services. Okay, all right. And we will all be happy.
As we wrap up the conversation, what's your charge to the president-elect and, of course, going into next year, 2025?
The president-elect should just focus on the content of his manifesto as far as the tourism and hospitality industry is concerned, period.
All right.
Because I do know that they went through a lot to bring out the manifesto, including meeting as an association. So everything there is something that the industry wants. They should just stick to the manifesto and everything will be fine.
Very well. Thank you so much, Dr. Edward Aka Nyamike Jr., the president of the Ghana Hotels Association of Ghana, speaking to us here on Business Live. Let's shift focus to some other stories now. And savings and loans companies are urging President-elect John Mahama to, as a matter of urgency, consider developments within the sector. And we've got on the telephone lines the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Savings and Loans Association to help us understand what they mean by that, especially when they made that call to the President-elect. Joining us is the Executive Secretary, Chinibo Akodia Boache, for some conversation on the back of this. Thanks so much, sir, for joining us here on Business Live. Now, I want to know what is informing this letter to the President-elect.
Thank you very much for reaching out to us, and we want to take the opportunity to wish everyone that we're doing business and those who are yet to do business with us the best of the season and a happy new year in advance. We also want to congratulate the president-elect and his team, which means that Ghanaians, majority of the voters bought their message. And that we believe that it is time for all of us to put our hands to the deck and work together as a nation. We believe that the savings and loan sector is the panacea of the small, medium enterprises that we have in Ghana here. Because our members, and for that matter, the savings and loans companies, the main focus is supporting businesses and households across the country. Everywhere you go, you'll see our members there. And so we believe that as the incoming government have it in their manifesto, that more could be done. And therefore, it is time for us to fully dedicate certain resources. When we say resources, it is not only about money, but rather, for instance, policies and the specific directives for the sector, specific regulations for the sector, regular engagements, which we have already started. We want to see it being improved, and we stand committed to supporting every household. If you look at actually 2024, deposit grew, our loan book grew, our asset grew, customer base grew astronomically, which actually comes to support that majority of Ghanaians and businesses are seeing the need to do business with savings and loans companies.
So, I mean, in your view, you believe that, well, it is important that, the sector is aligned with government policy and interventions, right?
Exactly the case. For instance, if government want to support small businesses, we don't see why government should disburse those funds without savings and loans. We don't see where government should disburse certain funds directly to businesses or small households or individuals without partnering with us, because we are with the people. And so we believe that successive governments and especially the incoming, we have already written to them. We have made them aware that we stand ready to supporting achieving the vision of the country. And we will continue to support all governments to achieve support for households and business.
Mr. Chinibu Akodua-Boakye, I want to know your projections in terms of growth for next year as we look forward to 2025.
Thank you very much. We are very optimistic that certain foundations that have been laid in the banking sector, especially in the savings and loan sector, which has enabled us to grow this year, 2024, we will continue in that growth. Number two, we are expecting that businesses will do better by also when they take facilities, they will pay. Our projection is that interest rates will come down, especially government borrowing. If treasury bill rates come down, it makes our facilities cheaper and households are able to pay on time. As it stands now, savings and loans, our NPL is around 15-16%. So this 15-16%, as of September, it was 15.88%. We are expecting that we will work with our customers, they will pay their loans, they will do business with us, and then we will be able to continue to grow with them. And we stand ready to support all businesses, and we know that the nation will continue to work again.
Chinibu Akodua-Boakye, thanks so much for joining us here on Business Live. He's the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Savings and Loans Company, speaking to us there. Let's stay one longer within the financial space, and a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amoa, has cautioned President-elect John Mahama over the scrapping of some taxes when he assumes office. Now, Dr. Amoa appeals to the incoming government not to scrap the betting tax. He said that will bring some shortfall in the revenue stream. He's been speaking to Joy Business.
Yeah, if you want to measure the responsibility on the new government, you want to look at the margin of win. The margin of win gives you an indication of the responsibility that the new government have and the expectations that Ghanaians have by way of what we think they have to do to make life bearable for the average Ghanaian.
He comes in with some social contracts, scrapping the e-levy, scrapping the COVID tax, the betting tax, and all of that. And there had been some questions, especially from the New Patriotic Party, saying if you have to scrap all these taxes, how do you sort of get revenue going for it to, sustain policies like the free SHS and all of that? From your perspective in finance and all of that, if some of these taxes are being scrapped, what, in the first place, I want to pick your thought on, is that the right to go, or better still, there are other alternatives?
You know, it's a slippery area to look at, because personally, I don't think any government will just go around imposing tax just for tax purpose, most especially when there's an election. So if the outgoing government kept on with those taxes, then it means that there was some need to have that revenue coming in. Now, the issue of maintaining it or not, and from the social contract that you mentioned, the President Mahama-led administration is not new to governance in Ghana. And I want to strongly believe that they didn't just say that to win an election, but they knew the implication of coming out with those proclamations or those commitments to the public. Now, if you are talking about replacing e-levy, e-levy, as we speak now, is raking about 2 billion annually to government. I don't know how much betting tax is bringing in, but definitely it is bringing in something. Once you say you are going to replace it, then the next question, like you rightly asked, is how are we going to replace this revenue loss? Definitely, the NDC-led administration, I'm believing, has a particular, development system in place, or what I call development trajectory in place, that from their point of view can work without these taxes. If not, then they are going to have some challenges, because if these tax handles or levy handles were bringing in some revenues and you take them off, you are going to create a vacuum. How will you fill the vacuum? Then it presupposes that it has been thought through and they know exactly what they have to do to keep the system running and even have more revenue to undertake many of the social interventions that they have promised the people of Ghana. Now, maybe COVID levy is justified if you want to take COVID levy off. Betting tax, personally, if you ask me, I would say it should stay, looking at the impact of gaming on the youth and on the society, and the fact that gaming per se does not by itself carry a lot of value chain activities with it.
Sorry to cut you, but talking about betting tax, well, there may be conversation that had to do with employment. If you are to cut this, how do you expect these young people to also get something? Some claim this is how they seem to survive. What about that?
It is difficult to live your life on gaming. Gaming is once in a while. You may win. It takes a long time before you win. So the question is, how do you sustain your life on this stream of unpredictable income?
So watching Business Life, we have more for you after this break. Business Life. The McDonald Group has resolved to engage management of the Ghana Airports Company Limited for the reopening of its private jet terminal following its shutdown today over reported outstanding debt. The company the debt comprises land leases, rentals, and terminal charges accumulated over a period. This is the second time McDonald Aviation has faced shutdown. Now, reacting to the development earlier on the polls, CEO of the McDonald Group, Kweku Amprofo, said they will be engaging the Ghana Airports Company Limited for a possible reopening by tomorrow.
Now, on Friday, we had a conversation, we had a meeting with Ghana Airport management on Friday, just this past Friday. And we told them that we actually gave them a check, gave them a 2 million CD check as part payment of what is due on the terminal, because prior to that conversation, they always coupled everything together. And in that meeting, we decided that, look, let's not put everything together. Let's decouple the issues. And then we pay you on the terminal while we figure out what to do on the land issue. So we gave them a $2 million check that actually has been presented to a 2 million CD check that actually has been presented to our bank today. Got a call this morning from our bank confirming if we should go ahead, they should go ahead and clear the 2 million CD check that we paid Ghana Airport Company. So I needed to bring that clarity to the two issues. So that's what it is.
Clarify for me before you move on. When you say you initially owed 1.9 million, were you referring to dollars or CDs?
No, dollars. So it's not that we owed 1.9 million at any point. It's that has accrued over time.
Yeah.
And we pay as we go. So over the period that we've had access to the terminal, the rent that has come in is 1.9. The payments that we have made over that period is 1.3.
With this land that is in contention in court, how much are you supposed to pay for it?
Just a bit over $2 million on that piece of land.
So what's the next line of action?
Now, before I even go to our next line of action is obviously to keep engaging Ghana Airport Company.
Yeah.
They entered the check that we gave them on Friday. So once that check clears, we hope we can come to some amicable resolution pretty quickly.
Before we go, government recorded about 9.0% of its treasury bill sales barely a week after it recorded a marginal under-subscription. More in this report.
The government got 4.65 billion cedis against a target of 4.262 billion cedis. All the bids tendered for the short-term instrument were accepted. A chunk of the bids came from the 91-day bill, in which 3.83 billion cedis were received. This represented 82.6% of the total bids tendered. About 628 million cedis were received for the 182-day bill. For the 364-day bill, 179.37 million cedis were tendered. Meanwhile, interest rates hit the 30% mark. The yield on the 364-day bill sailed to 30.07% from 29.95% the preceding week. VAT of the 91-day bill increased by 18 basis points to 28.03%.
And that's it for the bulletin. I am Pius Kojo Baka. I am grateful for serving you. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.